Howdy, howdy. This is the threatened next video that I referenced in my just previously recorded short of, okay, fine, I'm a mentor. You know, the topic of this video is awareness. And I'm going to keep a little closer on topic this time than maybe you'll have ever seen me. Um, it's the most important topic. There's like four super important topics in Platonic surrealism. And people go, what's this damn Platonic surrealism? It's something about Plato. It doesn't sound like Plato. Well, you're right, it doesn't, because Plato was, wrong in quite a few ways. But yeah, quite the genius, huh? Quite the genius. He was a giant, and people have been standing on his shoulders for so long, he's like pushed into the dirt. Yeah. Though, of course, most of his work was destroyed by the Catholic Church. Can't have clear thinking philosophers out there. By God, somebody might wake up. Can't have that. Got to stay part of the fever dream. So, awareness. Awareness and the other things. So, yeah, potentiality is this giant field. Everything exists within it, so to speak. Matter, energy, mind, thought, dreams, nightmares, UFOs, nuts and bolts UFOs. Everything exists within potentiality, which is simply all the potential properties that might exist of any kind. And in a sense, those properties are the Platonic ideals. Huh? How about that? See? People always say, oh, you insult everyone all the time. Well, yeah, I do. Usually I insult their ideas, not them. I generally don't insult people. But people make the mistake of, if you talk bad things about their ideas, then you're targeting them personally because they're confused. They don't know that they're not their thoughts and ideas. That's kind of at the heart of, now I'm going to take a major diversion again. Yeah. Hitler's guy in World War II, Goebbels, the disinformation agent, the guy who wrote the manual on what's happening in the United States right now. Yeah. I promise to not be political. I won't say who's using the manual. I won't. But really, this has been going on for thousands of years. You see, if you want to control someone, take charge of their life, and get them to give you their stuff, their money, their support, you just come up with some bullshit ideas, and you keep repeating them until they sink into a person, and then they're like a robot. They go around spewing this bullshit. It's comforting, you see. There's a lot of people that some call beta humans. In other words, they're followers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not every living human, all 9 billion plus of us, can be leaders at the same time. I mean, nothing would get done. And actually, there's a cute story about monads. They have the same problem. They really can understand life, the universe, and everything with it. But getting off track. So we identify with our ideas, and then that causes all this suffering. And you won't hear me say anything bad about Buddha. And I'm not going to talk about how there was like 5 different Buddhas maybe, or no, I'm not throwing any shade at my brother Buddha. Quite the guy. Yeah, there was one Buddha guy. Lots of similar people, and then they conflate stuff. But I'm not here to throw shade on Buddhism. Buddhism has a lot right about it. Actually, there's a fair bit right in various spiritual systems. Okay, now my friends will go, damn, Kevin, never heard you say that before. What? Is there a mind control grubber in your ear from Zeta Alpha or something? I'm now referring to Star Trek. No. There's quite a bit, What I call the larger life has been talking for a really long time. And bits come through people all the time. That's just wonderful. I mean, It might be the guy bagging groceries at the store. He or she might open their mouth and the most amazing thing might come out. It's how it works, bits and pieces come out. And then typically what happens, the conscious rational mind tries to overstep itself and it mangles it all up. And next thing you know, you got another religion. Boy, we don't think we got enough of those, okay? And none of them have done a damn thing positive, in my view. But yeah, I know. Some of them feed people, though I bet they spend more on their holy book than they do on feeding people. But yeah, when I was a kid, there was a little cartoon in a magazine. I don't know, it was like Life magazine or something. And there was this obvious preacher caricature guy talking to a starving little like African boy, like days away from death due to starvation. And the preacher saying, "Well, here's this Bible, it'll save you." And then the little boy said, "But after that, could I have some food?" See, that's the situation, folks. There's a lot of books, there's a lot of bullshit, there's a lot of misinformation going back to the beginning of time. It's out there because people get one little good idea and then it gets all twisted into bullshit. It happens every time. It's due to how humans work, We learn from each other, we're social animals, and we all kind of program each other socially. And that could be good, but like they say in computing, where I came from, well, I came from somewhere else entirely, but let's not go into that. Garbage in, garbage out. And that's what happens. So, do I really do I really throw all this shade on all of these people? No, not the people, the organizations. Okay, so do I really throw all this shade at all these organizations? Why, yes, because they've got it coming. But again, great amounts of good have been done in these organizations too. I mean, some of the most brilliant scientists ever to live were Catholic, for example. So I know it. They know it. Well, some of these brilliant Catholics were then put to death by the church, but can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, right? That's kind of how our world works. But back to the topic. So, potentiality, yeah, giant cloud, so to speak. It's really silly to say much about it. In a way, people want to say, oh, it's Ein Sof. That's from Kabbalah. Or, it's, it can't be discussed. It's ineffable. And, oh, this is my favorite joke. No, it's quite effable. See, now that sounds obscene. But all it is taking the in prefix off. So really, effable, I should look it up sometime. I imagine it's a word. We know it's a word, and we know what it means. We know what it means. It means you can understand it. And yeah, we can understand this stuff in a certain way. See, that's what it all comes down to. That's what it all comes down to. Every last bit of it. You see, oh man, there's this big snow job that's been done to people for a very long time. And the snow job, the con job, the long con, oh, people are going to wince and hate this. Well, it's what's become science. Yeah, some of you knew that was coming. But I don't mean it in the way you might think. And I got to talk about the previous long con job that messed everyone up for thousands of years and caused, the Dark Ages, for example. Yeah, the Dark Ages. You know why they were dark? There was no light, no philosophical light, because the great philosophers' books had been burned by a certain religion that I won't name, that I just named. So, yeah, it's the way this works, Religion, at its very best, if you even want to use that word, God, religion's an awful word. Because it basically means religion is when you lie, but pretend it's the truth, and you get a social effect out of it. That's religion. Now, spirituality That's when you think you know something and you wing it and you get a some kind of a result. Well, that's more honest, isn't it? It's more honest. Uh, a lot of spiritual people aren't lying on purpose to seize power. Some do. Then, in that case, that's actually a religion. So, the world alternates between anti-religion, anti-science, anti-religion, anti-science. Well, come on, folks. We know better now. We really do. A lot of people know better, not just me. I'm just one tiny voice. I got what, 33 people watch my channel right now? Half of them might have only watched it once. See? I'm just a tiny voice here. But we understand this, you know? There's this very bright man, made a very significant contribution, Ian McGilchrist. And no, some of you folks you're gonna roll your eyeballs. Oh, he's gonna talk about how the right brain hemisphere is like holy and sacred, and he'll have his neurology all wrong. No, I won't have my neurology all wrong. I'm quite aware that the functionality of creativity and of more serialized thought, those functions are kind of spread across both hemispheres somewhat. Yeah, I know. Um, but really, the left brain hemisphere is mostly about the verbal. And yes, I know the right brain hemisphere does do verbal processing as well, but it's more the emotional context. If you lose your left brain hemisphere, I think you're not going to be able to talk anymore. Um, Not for shit, anyway. So the hemispheres do have different specialities in processing. So this is just science, you know? But I'm not going to harp on the brain hemispheres. I'll leave that to Ian McGilchrist, who does a masterful job. Master and His Emissary, his various books. The man is a gift to the entire human race. I put him up there with Alan Watts. Yeah, we'll talk about Alan Watts someday. You may think he was just some hippie guy who died of like alcohol poisoning. And he was that too. But he was far more than that. You don't hear me talk about, who I'm a fanboy of much. We'll get into that. So, but here's the thing. We're not going to do the straw man thing that debunker types love so much. They'll go, he's going to talk about the hemispheres incorrectly. Ha ha, I get to throw out every last thing he says because he doesn't have a PhD in neurobiology. Nope, sorry, failed. Not going to happen. I'm just going to talk kind of generally that humans have big picture type thinking, big picture type feeling, and they have kind of microscopic look at stuff really close and careful, uh, rational mind type thinking. And the failure of our current culture, and it's a massive failure. Of course, every culture has weird people like me come out of the woodwork, say everything's failed and everything's falling apart, and usually they're half wrong and sometimes they're part right. But nope, this time I'm pretty much 100% right, and everybody knows that. Even the people that disagree with me in their heart of hearts, they know they've been had, they've been snookered, and we'll be lucky to live 300 more years on this planet. No, I'm not going to do a Harold Camping prediction. I'm not going to do it. But things are seriously effed up beyond all possible rescue, probably. Maybe not. You never know. So, no, I'm not anti-science. I love science. I wrote up another formulation of quantum mechanics a few days ago. I love science. I love it, love it, love it. I call it the deception model of quantum mechanics. It's a mix of superdeterminism and quantum mechanics, uh, where when you gain knowledge of the eigenstate of where the properties aren't measured, you're not collapsing the waveform. You're just discovering where the deception was. Um, it's rather funny. Platonic surrealism is mostly about deception, actually, and that's actually on topic here. We'll get into that presently. So, yeah, you've got potentiality and the interplay of potentiality and awareness. And then that leads to what I call primal consciousness. Other people call it other things and other systems. It's what they're talking about. And then there's this layer of broken by design consciousness, or as other people call it, consciousness. See, I'm not a big fan of consciousness, and that just goes against the flow. Poor Jeff Kripal. Kripal, oh my God, he's such a friend to me. He's so close to me. It's Kripal. I still want to call him the other one. Oh, jeez. Guess I'm broken, just like all of us. So, I drove him crazy for years about this distinction. He wants to talk about consciousness in some universal cosmic sense so that we can all get behind it as a central concept and push forward. And well, sorry, Jeff, you're wrong. But almost right. You know, it is a tiny distinction, but it's the distinction between being trapped in, between being trapped in Plato's cave or not being trapped in Plato's cave. Pretty damn important. The distinction between awareness and consciousness, and we're going to get into that like nobody's business. So, awareness. I harp on this, Platonic Surrealism harps on this. Awareness is about as far back as I can go. Any of us can go, you know? I think, therefore I am. Oh, why is that? Are you your thoughts, or are you the awareness that can form thoughts? Well, that's what spirituality is all about. That one single thing right there. That's it. It encapsulates all of spirituality, all of it, whether it's about a god or not a god, good, evil, dualistic, non dualistic. That's the whole thing, the whole enchilada right there in one freaking sentence. Am I my thoughts? Or is there something behind the thoughts, awareness that the thoughts are in? Now, it may not be immediately apparent in, say, Christianity, some form of monotheism. That's the question that applies, but it certainly does. You see, I am not disputing the very godlike presence and power of potentiality and awareness. It'd be like a liver cell trying to say no to the human body of which it is a part. I would never do that. I would never be disrespectful to awareness and potentiality. Never. Never. Of course, it might make a liar out of me. But no, people think I don't have something sacred that fills me. No, I really do. Potentiality and awareness. I'm on a first name basis with those. We all are, by the way. We all are. But I stripped away a lot of the bullshit so I can see it. And did I do that or did it do that? Well, the movie did that. You could say the Monads did that. They're in a movie too. They don't like to remember that, but they're in a movie too. It's movie characters all the way down from potentiality, you see. Because potentiality is unexpressed potential. It's like a cosmic cookbook of all the possible properties and all the ways that those properties can interact. It's unexpressed, it's uncorruptible, and there can't be any confusion about it because it's not expressed. But all the potential for all the worlds, all the religions and gods and politics and yummy pasta. Gotta put pasta in there. People love picking on me for being fat because I love my pasta. Well, you know what? That's my movie character. If it was important, it would change. I guess it's not important then, is it? People who taunt my holy pasta. So, potentiality and awareness. Now, primal consciousness is not something I talk about much. A lot of religions and philosophical, metaphysical, yoga systems, they get all crazed about that primal consciousness. I got a friend named Paul, hell of a guy, hell of a scholar, written some really fine books. And he must have talked to me for 3 days about, what's this primal consciousness and why aren't I talking about this one particular layer, from Tibetan Buddhism or from some other system. And, well, really, it's not important. I know that sounds like heresy. See, there's people that want to attain the true gnosis, the true cosmic mind, the undifferentiated mind of God. They want to attain this like it's something they can go down the supermarket and buy, like a bunch of bananas. It don't work that way. Okay? Let's say that cosmic mind is like, just as an analogy, though there's an element of truth to it almost. Let's say it's a 10 to the 500 power. That's called a googolplex. That's a term from string theory, and no, I don't promote string theory. I think it's caused enough harm. I'm not going to repeat it. But then, strangely enough, humorously enough, some people compare Platonic surrealism to string theory. So, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to throw shade. Well, I just did, but I'm throwing shade at ideas. And you can throw shade at my ideas. Yeah. They're not even my ideas. They come from elsewhere. I'm just writing them down. That's a really good view to have for anyone, really. Ideas, they come out of nowhere and they pop into your mind and you had little or nothing to do with it. People don't want to believe that. They want to crap up their system, rip it away from what it was intended for, though ripping it away from what it was intended for is actually what it was intended for. Yeah, this whole movie thing, there's this whole concept that we should be striving for perfection, you know, that we're all the little pieces of God, all the altars of God, and I don't mean altars as in worship altars. I mean as in bits of alternate personality fragments, like various systems talk about. They all need to come together. The little broken husks, from Kabbalah, they need to form up into what they originally were and regain, Adam Kadmon, the holy cosmic man. Well, now I'm sounding like I'm teasing them, and I don't want to tease the Jewish people. That's for sure. Bad idea. But no, I'd be teasing Kabbalah, but I'm not even really teasing Kabbalah. If Kabbalah was non-dualistic, it'd be awesome. But dualism gets to be a real problem. It's left a stain on the world. It's behind the destruction of so much. My observation. But threading the needle between dualism and non-dualism, that's kind of what Platonic surrealism is all about. Yep. You can tell where I was from originally. So, awareness is simply the ability to self-reflect, to the ability to perceive. And it's like this cosmic field, and that's the most important thing to know almost in Platonic surrealism. It's like a cosmic field. The awareness that you are experiencing as a sentient being, that's the same awareness field that powers everything. Universes, small pieces of dog shit, everything in between. There is nothing that seems to exist, and that's an interesting topic, that seems to exist that isn't indwelt by awareness bouncing around potentiality. It's like two giant fields interacting, and everything comes from that. Matter, energy, mind, nuts and bolts, UFOs, candy bars, everything comes from that. That's the real movie projector. Potentiality is the cookbook. Awareness picks between various properties because it wants to. It does this through the monads. Monads, yeah, like Leibniz talked about. You really should read what Platonic surrealism says about them. They're kind of like Boltzmann brains from outside time. See, if you're from outside time, it's silly to even talk about probabilities and, this could happen, or an infinite number of monkeys couldn't do that. That was actually disproven recently. That sort of thing. is pointless. With unlimited time, everything happens, including Boltzmann brains, which are like giant free floating plasmoid computer brains that don't need a physical body. So, uh, yeah, I wrote a paper about that back in the day, gave it to the Invisible College. If you know about that, you have some idea what I'm talking about with that. And if you don't, it doesn't matter. But monads aren't actually Boltzmann brains, though Boltzmann brains are an echo, a shadow of the concept of what a monad is. But a monad is simply a one dot of difference from potentiality. It's kind of like one active choice. And that's the difference. Everything else is still on its backside, other side. Talking about sides is silly, but words, is potentiality. So that one bit of difference lets monads accumulate experience through memory. It lets it remember. It lets it be a distinct thing. Monads are, and I always say this, a quanta of being, the smallest possible unit of being. No quantum mysticism there. I'm just using the word. Get over yourself, quantum mechanics people. I'm just using a word. I'm not trying to turn your mathematical framework in Hilbert space, whatever, into a religion. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not turning anything into a religion. In fact, religion's the problem. And science has become a religion. See? Plenty of love to go around there. Not trying to create anything like that. I'm just trying to share some information so people will have something to talk about that's a little different. And maybe there could be less suffering, more happiness, more happy puppies and kitties, less starving people, less people with their brains absolutely overflowing with shit from culture, with that Goebbels-like programming from some people that read the manual from World War II. And no, I'm not saying what you know I'm saying. I'm not saying it. I'm actually not saying it. These thoughts, these rhythms in history, they're eternal. They seem that way, don't they? There's that saying, history may not repeat, but it rhymes. Yeah, it's going to be rhyming for quite a while yet. In a trillion years, we might experience something just like this in way different form, but it'd be the same sort of bullshit. It's how it goes. So, everybody's all tweaked about consciousness. But you see, that primordial consciousness, like I call it, and I really got to hand it to my brothers in Kabbalah. They really, like Isaac Luria, man, no, that guy was a genius. Absolutely freaking a genius. It's like the cosmic mind was stable. The cosmic mind, in terms of a conscious mind, it was stable and whole for, I don't know, 1/10000000th of 1 second, and then it exploded, so to speak. And all the little fragments in Kabbalah, those are the shards. And quite a system, Some of those folks were cosmic seers then too. Yep. Quite impressive. So here's the thing. You can take all these different shards, all these little units of being. You can take them to be broken. And some of them, quite half of them, say evil and do all this good evil stuff. Folks, we've done this story. Hello. Wakey, potentiality and awareness. This is the 10 trillionth time I've sat through this movie of good and evil. I've had enough of it. We're moving on, okay? Okay? Look in the eyes. See? Awareness. Talking back to awareness. Control loop feeding back through the control loop. Hello? We're going to move on now. Thank you. That must be the weirdest thing I've ever done on a video. You haven't seen me slap my backside yet. I'll do that someday for you. So yeah, had enough of this good and evil crap, okay? Now, yeah, I can talk just like the Kabbalists or other groups, Evil is really darkness due to the absence of light, but it's got a little spark of divineness in it too, and we have to do sorry if I mispronounced this, tikkun, and fix the world. And in a sense, that's not wrong, okay? Um, but Platonic Surrealism sees it a completely different way. And it's a way that can free someone. So that's pretty important. Or would you rather watch this movie a trillion times and always stay stuck in it? Yeah, bad idea. Now let someone else watch this movie. I'm not watching this one again. This was the last time. I'm a slow learner, you know. I don't even know. It must have been the 56th time I've been in this movie. Am I wackadoodle? Sure, fine. Okay. But I'm fun wackadoodle, so hang on with me. Wackadoodle is very relative. Somehow we think having women bleed to death in the parking lot because they can't get medical care, we think that's funny. Now, if there's any doubt in your mind about which way I lean, yeah, that should have cleared up that mystery. You know, being crazy in a world gone mad is a good sign. You're waking up. I wish more people were crazy. Crazy good, that is. So, the trouble with taking the dualistic approach, and by the way, I'm not all super duper non dualistic either, in a sense, so we'll get to that. The trouble with the dualistic approach is it leaves you trapped in Plato's cave. I mean, Plato's cave is certainly very dualistic. You've got whatever is outside the cave. That's one sort of stuff. And then you got the people trapped looking at the shadows on the wall. That's another kind of stuff. It's dualistic. Now, am I saying that apparent dualism doesn't exist? Oh, not at all. Man, that apparent dualism is thick. I mean, if I walk into a wall 99 times out of 100, or whatever the number is, I won't walk through it. I'll bump my head. No, I don't really believe I can walk through walls. Yeah. One world over I can, but that's there, not here. Yeah, all of us can walk through walls one world over. See, all the other worlds are one world over because everything's right on top of each other. Story for another day. Yeah, reality loves its movies, doesn't it? Sure does. So, dualism is a real problem because then there's this us versus them approach, and then you're trapped in these silly little games your entire life. Now, am I calling like child trafficking or whatever silly little games? No, I'm not. I want to catch those people and I want to pull their testicles off with pliers. Yep, I really do want that. Yep. So, no, I'm really aware of the grade A CGI representations of good and evil in this world. You see, the monads, they put out these streams, and these streams interact with other monads, generally, how it works. Can you have a universe powered by just one monad? Yeah, it's really shitty production value. Trust me, I tried it once. Yeah, I'm that wackadoodle. Just get over it. So, usually it's a massive effort of many monads, and they all want to participate in a movie. And that's what's happening here. We're in that movie of all these many monads streaming all their incredible might because they're almost potentiality itself. They're just that one bit different. At least that's how they started. Now, see, there we go. Not to my brothers in Kabbalah and other dualistic systems. You see, the monads, they develop memories and experience, and their perspective changes. Now, can they accumulate evil? No. I mean, what's evil, right? I mean, humans are the most evil beings on this planet by far. We raised like 1 billion cattle just to slaughter them. Kind, gentle creatures. I fed them as a child. I gave them their corn in the winter. It was one of my Minnesota farm boy duties. And I got licked on the hand. And I had a cow that was affectionate to me. And later that year, he was slaughtered and we ate him. Yeah, that's not evil. I don't know what is. And you can say, oh, God gave us dominion over the animals. Yeah, blow it out your ass. Okay? Humans are evil. But they're not evil. See, evil, good and evil is kind of slippery. And that's what dualism's all about. So, yeah, there's potential good and evil. And there's certainly lovingness and cruelty, all these dualisms. And it's not that they're not real, but they're real within a limited framework. Geez, now I sound like that one scene from Star Wars. Yeah. Boy, now that. No, okay, I'm not going to throw shade on the failed franchise of Star Wars. There, I just did it. It was sweet in the beginning. So, here's the thing. Should we fight, quote, evil? Yeah, I think so. But let's be careful what we call evil. And let's be careful how we fight it. And let's be careful what we call good. It's, well, it's actually very straightforward. But again, at first, it isn't straightforward. You know? If we call someone evil because they have a different political view than us, well, that's retarded. But that's how this country has been programmed. You see, while we fight each other and we're at each other's throats, the billionaires get richer. Yay! That was the whole purpose of everything going back since Reagan, I think. Yeah. Yep. Keep us at each other's throats so they can put their fingers in the treasury and then put it in their pocket. That's what we got going on right now. And I think they'll finish looting it this time. Yeah. They'll privatize Social Security and take everything away that people depend upon. And God, we're going to have an ugly country when it's all done. When every possible law is broken and they still get away with it. No, I'm not talking about politics. Let's call that theoretical comments from a parallel universe. How about that? Yeah, I don't want to crap up the channel with politics. But, you know, tools of deception, thoughts about good and evil, all those things make really great metaphors and makes a really great story. You got to admit, it's a great story. Sometimes we like horror movies, and here we are. We're in a horror movie right now. Alrighty, back to productive stuff. So, you see that cosmic state before the explosion, it cannot be maintained, you see. That's the problem. Now I'll make a little detour here. My friend Jeff was talking to my other friend Jeff. Yeah, I collect Jeffs. Yeah. So, and Jeffrey K was talking and said, yeah, Kevin doesn't even claim to be enlightened. And he's right. I don't claim to be enlightened. You know why not? Because enlightenment's not a thing. There, I just lost all the Buddhists. I lost all of them. It both is and isn't a thing. Mostly not, though. Here's the problem with enlightenment. It lasts for less than 10 to the minus 10 seconds or whatever it was before that primordial consciousness exploded and became what we're dealing with now. It's not stable. It can't be. You see, potentiality, being unexpressed, is stable. It can't lose energy. It can't gain energy. It can't become corroded or deformed or misinterpreted or misunderstood. None of that stuff can happen to it. But the first second you have some being, and that being may just be a law of physics, say. It springs up and it's going to, project everything in potentiality to the utmost fidelity. Let's call it primordial mind. Let's call it that. That is not stable. Because if it was stable, it would be potentiality. So you see, that Buddha mind, in a sense, is not attainable and it's not stable. And calling yourself enlightened means you're a nitwit. Yep, it really is. Now, what people think of as enlightenment, let's say they become liberated from a lot of the bullshit of this world. That's a thing. That really is a thing. Do I believe Buddha was liberated? Yeah. I think Friedrich Nietzsche was too, to quite a degree. Other people too. Liberated from most of the bullshit. That is a thing. It's worth going for. It really is. But you see, what people want to do is they want to use that, what I call the turd polisher, the conscious rational mind. And yeah, that's so insulting to the conscious rational mind of science. But it is and it isn't. Um, the problem with the conscious rational mind is it's trapped by the Kantian dialectic, that you cannot be the thing in and of itself. And so it's broke ass. Yep, Kant is broke ass. Now, our whole Western culture is kind of formed on him. And was he a genius? Yeah, he was a genius. Yep. But things are a little different than our buddy Kant there knew. And that's okay. Everybody plays a role. Things seem to evolve over time. We all get to make contributions. Every monad knows something different from every other monad. And it's like we got to put together the giant jigsaw puzzle to be complete again. But that doesn't work. And you know what I like to say about that? There will be a time when my buddies, the Kabbalists, probably call me some of those really awful names I've been called by Jewish people sometimes. No, I'm not dissing them, but yeah, don't talk about somebody's way of life. They're not going to like it. But the cosmic healing, yeah, it will sort of last for like 10 to the minus 10 second, and then it's gone. You know why? Because, and I'm going to use a metaphor I just hate, but it's such a great metaphor. I love it. When God finishes the jigsaw puzzle, finishes putting it back together, there ain't nothing else to do. So he goes and starts over again. That's what happens. That's what happens. I seem to remember it, which I shouldn't be able to. I'm just a guy from Minnesota. But that's what happens. Yep. So does that make a mockery of trying to make everything good? Yeah, it does. Yep, that's what it does. So we shouldn't try to do that? Oh, no, I didn't say that. Kind of like Star Trek Voyager, Yeah, I can tell a good person. They're the ones that like Star Trek Voyager. Just kidding. You can dislike Star Trek Voyager, Steve. Okay. But they always say to the journey. That's what we're here for. We're on this 10 to the 500 power journey, trillion-year journey. It's something ridiculous. I can't make a number big enough. We're on this journey. And you know what? Even potentiality runs out of combinations eventually, i.e. the jigsaw puzzle finally gets put back together, and it's not supposed to be together, because if it's together, there ain't nothing to do. There's no little separate beings trying their little movie stunts. They're always trying, they're fighting, they're dying, they're electing, they're not impeaching. Gluttons for punishment. So many people are just gluttons for punishment. It's part of the script, though, part of the movie script, that their upstream self, their monad, agreed to, or they wouldn't be here. They agreed to it. That doesn't give any excuse to how awful things are. And yeah, we should try to fix it. I'm all for tikkun. Trust me, I am. Oh man, I love to do a mitzvah anytime I can. So, all these very worthy systems and people that I kind of put down. Well, I don't put down the people, I put down the system. But I have a great deal of respect for big chunks of some of those systems too. So please forgive me. I have far too much monad that powered Nietzsche powering me. Yeah. No, do I think I'm Nietzsche or reincarnation? Or no, it doesn't work like that. But monads work together. Sometimes just a few, sometimes thousands, 10,000s, trillion, they work together. So the monads, there's a variety of them that powered Nietzsche. Those same monads are powering some of us in the world. Basically, any of us that love Nietzsche. We got a little chunk of Nietzsche in us. We really do. These thoughts, these emotions, they just come out of nowhere and they hit our mind. They're not generated by our minds. Hell, I don't know Nietzsche from Adam. I think I made it through a quarter of one of his books and I just couldn't finish it. Don't like his writing style. Yeah, isn't that something? Even I'm self-critical. Hey. Okay, so let's see here. Where are we at with this video? Okay. I guess I can come to something of a point. I really don't like making videos over an hour. People might fall asleep or something. Besides, my wife's coming back from errands, and isn't that something? She's dying of heart failure and she's doing errands. God, that's so awful. Now, I would get off my sluggish ass and do the errands, but I've got an eyesight problem. I lost the ability to drive. Isn't that something? Self-appointed cosmic seer, and I can't see well enough to drive. Isn't that the way it goes? Isn't that the way it goes? You lose one sense, and another one or other ones become more powerful. So, back to it. You see, we confuse ourselves as being little beings stuck in one world with some sky daddy or something that's going to send us to hell if we don't kiss his anus. Or whatever system we want. Oh, we're going to reincarnate aimlessly. Well, no, sorry. Doesn't work that way. You know? One world over, I'm like the Buddha. Why not? Or I'm President Trump. One world over, I'm President Trump. See, I don't want to throw shade at my brother Trump because one world over, I'm him. See, we all play all the roles. See, that's something to really keep in mind. When you throw shade at your brother, you're throwing shade at yourself. You may not realize it yet, but you will. You'll realize it someday. So I wish my brother Trump, oh, pardon me, my brother Trump, my brother Elon, I wish them the very best. Oh, man, what a world to live in. So, here's the deal. If we were just a solitary being with a solitary little soul in a body, and then, we die, and then we're judged or whatever, sure, all this good evil crap might make some sense, but it doesn't. Think of any spiritual system, any religion, and yeah, you're living that in some other world as you. Sure, you really are. The same monads that are powering us right here and right now, me and the audience that's watching, those same monads are powering other lives in other worlds where we're Trump or we're Buddha or we're this or we're that. So it puts us in an interesting situation here. We can either just get trapped in the movie, trapped in Plato's cave, or we can realize that we are the awareness that watches all the movies. See my glasses on crooked? Makes me look like a goofy devil, doesn't it? There we go. When you realize that, at first you think you're free. You think you're enlightened, you're transcended. Sorry, folks, it isn't quite that simple. It's a very significant step. This has been known for thousands of years. I mean, maybe 5,000 years. Probably not that long. People always want to exaggerate. But yeah, that's neti practice, it's called in yoga. Not this, not this. Or you can do, if you're into yoga, you can just look at the bridge of your nose, kind of cross-eyed like. And I'll mispronounce it. I mispronounce everything. I spent 60 years alone, so I'm not used to talking to people. So I don't have to pronounce things right because I'm not talking to anybody. Yeah. I believe it's called Shambhavi Mudra. Yeah. And that can do some interesting things. You see, one eye is powered by one brain hemisphere, the other by another. And there's more to it than just that. But it can help you realize that you are the eye that cannot see itself. That's always the thing that's said. You are awareness itself. You are the one that sees everything. So the problem there, though, and that works really great for a while, if you keep doing that sort of thing, you'll become what I call a mushroom head. Now, my friend Mike, for example, Mike F. Mike Fiorito, I'll give his name. Come on, he's part of the channel. Yeah, he and I really like talking about mushrooms because they're a super species in our universe and people don't know it. But that's for another day. Yeah, that's for another day. So the trouble with awareness only and non-dualism only is that those systems tend to, and not all of them, but they tend to say that the physical world is Maya and it's like some painful thing, or the Gnostics, oh, it's a trap for the divine light and the demiurge is trapping us. Yeah. Well, no, no. It can certainly seem that way. It really can. And do we trap ourselves in matter, so to speak, for eons upon eons? Yeah, yeah, we do. It's called movies. Uh, really, when you first wake up as a monad, everybody and everything screaming at you, it's like being autistic. I swear, there's a real reason for the correlation between autism and, oh, let's call it spiritual genius. People are talking about it more all the time. So, yeah, there's a reason for that. And a monad might hide in matter, so to speak, to cut down all the screaming noise, like a Donald Hoffman interface, to filter stuff out. Might hide for 1,000,000,000 years. Now, see, this is actually a very important thing here. Is that hiding for 1,000,000,000 years because it comforts them? Is that a bad and evil thing? Are they trapped by the demiurge and evil matter? And do they need to become enlightened and suffer through infinite lives to become a Buddha? Why, no. No, they're fine. They're fine just how they are. Now, is there a current, so to speak, an archetype that some experience where until they figure out how things work, they're going to suffer tremendously? It's like they're being tasked by the larger life to help it put itself together, understand itself better, and they want to escape all the pain and nonsense. Is that a thing? Yeah, that's a thing. Well, you can trust me on that. Oh, have I been around the block with that? But ultimately, when the universe over, I finished all that. Yeah, I'm like the Buddha over there. That's not my favorite one. My favorite one's I'm a home ec teacher teaching Platonic surrealism that was invented by Voltaire. Yeah, that's a fun little world. Very pleasant. It's all very professionalized. I mean, it's like learning to bake a cake in that world. It's Earth 919, I call it. So, yeah. Now, is it a very useful thing to learn how to disentangle from all the bullshit quite a bit and just luxuriate, like jumping in a pool on a hot day, being on your back, seeing the sun penetrate through your eyes with a warmth, and you are awareness. You are a traveler between all the worlds, creator of all the worlds with others to help. Is that a wonderful feeling? You bet. It rocks. But the problem there is everybody makes a big mess. They play around, they make these worlds, and there's a lot of learning, and it's, quote, just a movie, but there's real suffering. And to quote another book, no, it's not spaghetti blood, it's real blood. So, is it good to learn from all that and to stop calling the movies lies or evil, to stop calling them delusion or illusion, try to run away from them? You know what happens if you try to run away from these worlds? Yeah, you stay in them forever. About forever. Forever is a really long time. It ends, though. You'll see. So, in a sense, it makes a lot of sense to clean up your own shit, or at least to acknowledge it. It's like Jung's shadow. If you fight it, it becomes stronger. If you ignore it, it becomes stronger. If you invite it over for a beer and feed it some cheesy puffs, there's a whole different relationship you can have with your shadow. And eventually, They, the ego and the superego, they all become as one. And you are relatively free. Does that mean you shoot off to the 11th dimension? Why, no. You see, that's the thing where Platonic surrealism disagrees with almost everyone. You see, everybody's in such a hurry to get away from all the pain, suffering, and death. Can't blame them. Trust me, I can't blame them. That they don't realize they'll always have one foot in this world. Always. Always. Because there's only one awareness, and they never shit can. Shit can. My name's Kevin Can. I had a nickname in the Navy once. I won't go there. So, awareness and potentiality don't ever shit can one of their movies. They always watch them. Some part of them is always watching these movies. There's no other choice. You can't run away from yourself. There we go. Even, quote, God, though, quote, God tries really damn hard, even God can't run away from himself. And after trillions and trillions and trillions of years of making these movies, it's like, well, shit, I finished, that movie, that sequence of movies, that jigsaw puzzle. It's all put together. Hell, time to start over again. And that's part of these Eastern religions, philosophies, whatever you want to call them, metaphysical systems, the yugas, the Mahayugas, the whatever Mahayugas. It's a true thing. So, Nietzsche was almost right. Things don't just infinitely repeat in the way he thought, probably. But all the movies are playing simultaneously. So, you can't change the movie. It's read-only. So what can you change? Well, awareness itself does learn from these things. And that is the 1% of free will that we have. We only have 1% of free will in this world. Though, in the far, far future, when we work together to make this place, we had our vote. It's often pretty diluted, say a trillion monads are making a movie like this. Then you're one of a trillion, so yeah. But you still had free will. I mean, free will. I could talk for so long about that. I have. But it's so simple. If there's one being, that being's the only one with free will. And everyone else is like a dog in a dog sled team. Your nose is up the next guy's ass if you're not the leader of it all. It's just how it works. Wow. The one is really a masochist and a sadist in some ways. Yep. But without all that, there wouldn't be puppies. I love puppies. And pasta. And a variety of things. Star Trek, Star Wars, anime. I love the good movies you see. Not a lot of difference between an anime and this world. Not a lot of difference. So, a little more about awareness. I really want to drive this home. People go, oh, this guy thinks he's so awesome and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what this is about. Have you been listening? Maybe not. We're all so close to being exactly the same thing. And it's one awareness that powers us all. So what tricks people up, I've said this before, awareness is silent. Because if it wasn't, none of this would be possible. It's like the whole God stupid thing. If, quote, God was just sitting there, everybody would be overwritten by the pure awesome radiance, and no one could even exist. They'd be burned out like light bulbs. That's even in the Bible. Don't look at me, you'll die. Well, yeah, true enough. So, awareness is the awareness that makes universes, and it's my awareness. It's your awareness. But it has to stay real quiet. It has to stay real quiet. Because if it doesn't, none of this would be possible. None of this would work. So we're all cosmic avatars of awareness. Every last one of us. Donald Trump, too, by the way. He's a cosmic avatar of awareness. He has a very unique style about it. So there's ways that you can learn to just kind of lean into the fact that you are awareness. Yeah, you can do the nitty nitty training. Find a spiritual teacher, a yoga master, they could teach it to you. You can do that. There's lots of ways to realize that you're awareness. Zen can be so beautiful with that. Zen shuts down the conscious rational mind, and then boom, you just realize who you are. It's beautiful stuff when it works. It has to be part of the movie script, though. If it isn't, you can stare at your belly button for eternity and nothing will happen. Yeah, I know that sucks. You know, I wanted to be a championship swimmer, but I'm not Michael Phelps, and I'm going to have to deal with that. I can't even swim, by the way. I'm from Minnesota. I was in the Navy for 8 years. I can't swim. So sometimes you got to suck it up. Your movie role is different than you may want, but there's rich and beautiful movie roles to be had. And you know what? Some people, if you just give up on getting the freaky experiences of summoning UFOs and fighting master magicians in front of 5,000 and, you know, watching life form on Earth for the first time, watching life die on Earth, all these things some people do, like me. If you give up on that, you know what? If you stop trying to squeeze the life out of life, you know, it might happen all on its own without all this fuss. Hell, I never went looking for any of this shit. I didn't. I wanted the suffering to end. Oh my God, the suffering I've experienced. Uh, yeah, I'm almost 64, so I've had like 54 years of intense suffering. And as I said earlier, my beloved wife, and she really is beloved, she's dying of somewhere between stage 3 and stage 4 heart failure. She might have a year. Yeah, really, really sucks. And I may never be standard humanly happy again. Of course, happiness is a trap too, you know, amor fati. Love your life as it is. And if you love even the suffering, it turns out to not necessarily be so bad. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, realize your awareness. Um, there's a thing I call grokking in Platonic Surrealism. I used to have it up on the website. Uh, basically, just trace objects with your eyes. Just trace them with your eyes. I'm looking at this here, my wife's old boombox thing here. And if you just trace the outlines and trace the colors and trace this and trace that, um, and you don't have words particularly form that matter, you'll be in contact with a whole part of yourself that's much closer to awareness. Just practice that. I did that for about a month. That's all it took. That's all it took. Okay, folks, actually, surprisingly, I have to leave about 5 minutes earlier than I wanted, but I'll talk about awareness some more in the future. I hope you got a good dose of it. Thank you for listening. If you hung out with me this whole time, I love you all. Yeah, I love you too, Donald J. Trump. You iffy character, you. I love you too. Thank goodness I don't talk about politics. All right. See you next time.